Good evening. Welcome to South Asia Newsline. I am Arjun Chaudhary. Here are the top stories we're tracking for you on Friday, the 16th of October. Afghan government welcomes the US move to delay troops withdrawal. India's eastern Bihar votes in second phase of provincial polls. And Bollywood offers Pyaar ka Punchnama 2 this weekend to tickle the funny bone. And now for all the details. The Afghan government has welcomed the US decision to slow down the troops' withdrawal from the country. The decision was taken in wake of the worsening security situation in the country.
The decision to extend the troops' presence shows that threats still exist against the common interests of the two countries, the Afghan government said. According to the revised plan announced on Thursday by President Barack Obama, the US will have a presence of 5,500 troops stationed in Afghanistan even after 2016. Many in the country said they welcomed the decision.
کوشش کنن که همین قوای امنیتی ما اردو باشه، پلیس باشه، امنیت ملی باشه، تجهیز کنن و همراه قوای امنیتی ما کمک کنن.
The decision was made after months of deliberations between the two sides following the developments in the country. The Taliban, which began gaining strength post the end of the NATO's combat mission last year, had briefly taken control of Kunduz last month. Many felt it was important for the US to stay back to avoid such incidents in the future.
The lack of security and new threats for the security is the cause of lack of proper study and understanding the Afghan condition and security situation and the past. Having 10,000 troops, I do believe it's not enough. I also believe it's too early for us right now to judge what may happen in 2016 or 17.
The rise in Taliban attacks had raised serious concerns of the country once again slipping into the hands of the hardline Islamists.
Following the death of Mullah Omar, the Taliban in Afghanistan had called off the peace talks with the Afghan government. Now signals have emerged that the various militant factions might come back to the negotiating table.
In what is seen as a second chance for peace in war-torn Afghanistan, the Taliban insurgents might restart the talks process with the government. But they have two preconditions: the withdrawal of foreign forces and establishment of an Islamic government. To end fighting, we are ready to initiate meaningful negotiations with all sides concerned, the Taliban said in a statement. The militia's willingness to re-engage in the dialogue came hours after the US announced its plans to extend its troops' presence in the country. Pakistan, which had facilitated the first round of talks in July, had last week said that the country was willing to host another round of talks if both sides are willing.
Moving on to news from India. The electoral battle in the country's eastern Bihar entered its second phase on Friday amid heavy security. Nearly 55% of voters cast their ballot in the second leg of polling, which has become a battleground between Prime Minister Narendra Modi's Bharatiya Janata Party and the grand coalition of local parties.
Voters in large numbers queued up outside polling booths to exercise their franchise in the second phase of polling on Friday to elect a new state government in Bihar. Their mandate will decide the fate of 456 candidates in 32 constituencies. Former Chief Minister and Hindustani Awam Morcha President Jitan Ram Manjhi, Assembly Speaker Uday Narayan Chaudhary and BJP leader Prem Kumar were among the prominent figures whose fate was sealed on Friday. Many voters emphasized on the need for development.
तब मतदान में आए, इसमें कम से कम ऐसा हो कि जाति पाति से उठ के लोग वोट दें, विकास के मुद्दे पर दें, शिक्षा के मुद्दे पर दें, सफाई के मुद्दे पर दें, जो मतलब कि आम आदमी का दैनिक जीवन का अच्छी है उस अति को सोचते हुए वोट दें.
The elections in the state are being conducted in 5 phases. The counting will take place on November 8.
Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi on Friday termed Right to Information Act vital in improving the trust factor among citizens and government as the country marked 10 years since introduction of the landmark law. The act allows people to access information held by the government.
Questioning the government is a citizen's right and is vital for democracy, Prime Minister Narendra Modi said at the 10th Annual Convention 2015 of the Central Information Commission. RTI activists from across the country participate in this annual convention to discuss issues related to implementation of the transparency law. The Prime Minister also pitched for timely, transparent and trouble-free RTI replies, while adding that online availability of data would reduce the need for queries.
पिछले दिनों कोल का ऑक्शन हुआ। अब हमें मालूम है कि पहले कोयले को लेकर कितना बड़ा तूफान मच गया, कितने बड़े सवाल खड़े हुए। आरटीआई से जुड़े हुए लोग भी इसमें काफी मेहनत करते रहे। अभी इस सरकार के सामने विषय आया तो हमने सारी चीज ऑनलाइन की।
Right to Information Act has been India's most powerful weapon of the week that gives citizens the power to question and holds to account the legislature, executive and judiciary. An estimated 5 to 8 million RTI applications are filed every year, which reflects the popularity of the law.
Indian President Pranab Mukherjee returned home after completing his 5-day, 3-nation tour. The most significant itinerary was a visit to Israel, the first by any Indian head of state. Many also see the visit as beginning of greater cooperation between the two countries.
Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu termed Indian President Pranab Mukherjee's tour to Israel as historic, asserting the significance of the visit. He also said the sky was the limit for the bilateral relations and promised India any technology for its development. President Mukherjee stressed on the importance of peace in the region amid escalating conflict. He had earlier visited Jordan and Palestine.
I expressed distress at the recent incidents of violence, condemned all forms of terrorism and called for peaceful resolution of all disputes.
Even though the two countries had established diplomatic ties decades ago, there have been only 2 bilateral state visits before this. Former Israeli President Ezer Weizmann, who visited India in 1997, and Prime Minister Ariel Sharon on 2003. Both incidentally happened under the National Democratic Alliance government led by the Bharatiya Janata Party. The Congress party, which ruled the country for most of its post-independence history, had been skeptical over closer ties with Israel, mainly due to its closer relationship with the Palestinian leadership.
An ecstatic family in India's eastern Bihar is eagerly waiting for the return of their daughter, who was believed to be lost for over a decade. The speech and hearing impaired Indian girl Geeta, who was stranded in Pakistan, is all set to rejoin her family.
More than a decade after she accidentally crossed over to Pakistan, Geeta is set to reunite with her loved ones in India. As the Indian Foreign Ministry on Thursday confirmed that Geeta has identified her family, the happiness of her family members back in Bihar knew no bounds. They are now preparing to go to New Delhi for a DNA test. Her parents said the family had lost hopes of seeing her again after she was lost over a decade ago.
2.5-3 साल हो गया, मैंने आशा हरम त्याग करके बैठ गए। मैं कहा मेरा बेटी मर गया। फिर यह शोक उत्पन्न हुआ कि टीवी में आया, देख करके तब हमको सारा ब्यौरा से हमारा पहचान से हमारा बेटी है, इस करके हमने इस सुषमा स्वराज के यहाँ गए।
Geeta, who was 11 years old when she wandered over in Pakistan, has been living with a charity in Karachi since then. She recognized her family from the photographs sent to her by the Indian High Commission in Islamabad.
पाकिस्तान ने भी इसको इजाज़त दे दी है जाने की, और इंडिया ने भी जो है इसके ट्रैवलिंग डॉक्यूमेंट जो है वो तैयार कर लिए हैं, और 19 तारीख पहले डिसाइड की गई थी, लेकिन अब चूँकि 19 तारीख आने वाली है, अब तक ये जाने की इसकी तैयारी नहीं हुई, तो मुझे उम्मीद है कि 26 जो है वो अक्टूबर को ये जा सकेगी।
Her story gained media attention for the efforts of Pakistani human rights activist Ansar Berni, who was for years trying to identify her Indian family.
Afghan refugees in Pakistan are facing hard time as aid programs for refugees in the country have been slashed. Pakistan is home to some of the 2.5 million Afghans who fled the war and persecution in their country.
Afghan nationals living in Pakistan are now bracing for even harsher times. If the constant threats of deportation and harassment by security agencies in the name of alleged terror links wasn't enough, they are now facing the threat of aid cuts by the UN. The United Nations High Commission for Refugees or UNHCR has only allocated $33.6 million in 2015 for the Afghan refugees. The increasing hardships have forced many to migrate to Europe.
خلک چې د چا عمر د 300 کالونو سوا د پاغزې کې د کاغذ اخیستلې د هغه قبولي کول پاغزې کې لکه دا مشکل دی چون دا ماشومان چې کومې لکه د پاسانه سره هغه خلک د دوی هغه مدد کوي د دوی سره مطلب هغه کومک کوي یا دوی ته کاغذ ورکوي یا ورسره زیاتې نه کیږي مطلب لکه خبره دا ده چې دا خلک هم کوشش په دې کې کوي چې هغه ماشومان چې د هغوی عمر د 1400 نواله تر 300 کالونو پورې چې هغوی ولیږل ته بهر.
The Afghan refugees, a large number of them who fled the country over 3 decades ago, live in the outskirts of border cities like Peshawar. Out of some 2.5 million Afghan nationals in Pakistan, only around 1.5 million hold any documents.
Moving on to news from Sri Lanka. Former Sri Lankan President Mahinda Rajapaksa has alleged a political vendetta against him by the Maithripala Sirisena government. The former strongman has been facing a number of corruption cases ever since the new government assumed office in January.
Former President Mahinda Rajapaksa, who appeared before a bribery and financial fraud commission on Thursday, said that his summon was nothing but political revenge. The case pertains to Rajapaksa's alleged failure to pay a state-owned television a sum of $1 million for advertisement campaigns during the January presidential elections. Rajapaksa and his family members were often accused of corruption and abuse of power during his tenure. Investigators are said to have located more than $2 billion stashed abroad by people close to Rajapaksa during his leadership.
Bollywood has come with yet another sequel this weekend. Its latest rom-com, Pyaar Ka Punchnama 2, talks of the other side of relationship.
2 crore की लॉटरी लगी है, ईमेल आई है.
किसकी ईमेल आई है? अंकल एक्चुअली वो एक स्कैम होता है, सबको आती है.
क्या मतलब सबको आती है?
In 2011, Pyaar Ka Punchnama portrayed lives of 3 boys, giving a fresh and funny take on their love stories.
मैंने ठेका लिया सबके घरेलू काम करने का, बस सब टॉयलेट धोना बाकी वो भी बोल देंगे.
4 years later, director Love Ranjan is back with its sequel, Pyaar Ka Punchnama 2. Although there is a slight change in the cast, the plot remains the same. How lives of 3 men change after girls come into their lives.
Losing interest in me?
I love you, I love you, I love you.
तो पहली बारी में हमने दिखाया थोड़ा दुखड़ा रोया हमने. अब 4 साल बाद हम थोड़ा और दुखड़ा रो रहे हैं. ठीक है, पहली बार थोड़ी कम हिम्मत थी तो थोड़ा संभाल के बात कही थी, थोड़ा छुप छुपा के कही थी. अब की बार थोड़ा और ज्यादा खोल के कह रहे हैं, थोड़ा और हिम्मत के साथ कह रहे हैं, थोड़ा और ब्लंटली कह रहे हैं.
Pink, 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 pink.
The comic keeper tells the story from a male perspective.
Salmon pink, old rose pink, carnation pink, hot pink, magenta pink.
बाकी सारी फिल्मों में आप देखेंगे तो उनमें सब में यह दिखाया गया है कि कैसे बेबस बेसहारा औरत एक बेचारी है जिसके ऊपर अत्याचार कर रहे हैं मर्द. तो एक फिल्म है जिसमें हम मर्द बेसहारा बेदर्द बेचारे ऐसे पड़े हुए हैं और लड़कियां हम पे अत्याचार कर रही हैं.
प्रॉब्लम ये है कि वो लड़की है. सोने से पहले बात करनी है, उठने
Pyaar Ka Punchnama 2 revolves around 3 men who share a swanky flat and blow money like spoiled brats. But the girls they are in relationship with come with their own set of problems. What unfolds are the frustrations of these men as they have no clue how to cope with their girlfriends.
Well, that's the way it was in South Asia this evening. Before we conclude, the top stories once again. Afghan government welcomes the US move to delay troops withdrawal. India's eastern Bihar votes in second phase of provincial polls. And Bollywood offers Pyaar Ka Punchnama 2 this weekend to tickle the funny bone. Now our viewers can watch the show on SouthAsiaNewsline.com. You can also visit us on Facebook.com/SAsiaNewsline and follow us on Twitter @SAsiaNewsline. That's all in tonight's edition. We'll see you same time next week. Have a great weekend and good night.